Chapter 7 Imperial KTV. Chen Hao scratched his head awkwardly. He was actually trying to avoid Ma Xiaonan and the others, especially Zhao Yifan who hated him so much. He was too lazy to meet them and get cold-shouldered. Su Nan suggested we come to this Imperial KTV to hang out. If you ditch on us once again, we are no longer friends. Ma Xiaonan said. She was a carefree girl, thus, she did not worry about too much. She could not comprehend the awkward situation Chen Hao was in as they were not on the same level in terms of status and family background. Of course, this was no longer the case anymore. Ma Xiaonan took Chen Hao's silence as consent. She quickly said, let's go and have fun together. I know that you are afraid of Su Nan looking down on you. Don't worry, if he tries to make fun of you again, I will reprimand him. Chen Hao smiled. If he rejected her, she would probably get really mad. Fine, I shall join them and hang out together. Ma Xiaonan dragged Chen Hao to the entrance of the Imperial KTV. Chen Hao took a look and realized that this KTV was one of his many properties. In the past, Chen Hao would not have dared to claim he could afford to treat them. However, the situation now has changed. Oh. Young Master Chen is here at Jinling Commercial Street. Do you know the way around here? Do you know any fun places? I can bring you around. Chen Hao was greeting his dormitory mates when Su Nan immediately smirked and made fun of Chen Hao. Su Nan, shut up. Remember what I warned you about. Ma Xiaonan scolded. Su Nan gave a sly smile and said, okay, I know. I had good intentions to introduce the area to Chen Hao and bring him around. After all, the commercial street is where all the rich people come to enjoy themselves. So, it is for his own good. Zhao Yifan glanced at Chen Hao. She felt embarrassed to be standing next to Chen Hao. Furthermore, with the crowd on the street coming and going, it made things worse. In a hurry, she said, okay, let's go in first. Su Nan, have you reserved a room? Yes, I asked my friend to reserve one for me. Normally by this time, the Imperial KTV wouldn't have any rooms left. Su Nan acted like the host and said, follow me. He led the way and brought the group of people in. It was Chen Hao's virgin experience at a KTV. The interior was rather luxurious. The room that Su Nan chose was even more luxurious. There was even a huge fish tank that sparkled under the lights. Upon entering, the group of beautiful ladies took their seats on one end. Chen Hao sat with his dormitory mates on the other. This was the time for the microphone huggers to shine. They took turns to sing and the mood was lively. The group of beautiful ladies were chit-chatting while Zhao Yifan was just sitting there crossing and shaking her silky leg. Is that a blood parrot? Chen Hao was bored and his interest was piqued by the blood parrot within the fish tank. He stared at the fish. He remembered that he saw this type of fish in a book before. This fish was popular in Hong Kong and Taiwan. However, on a closer look, this fish looked different from the blood parrot in his memory. Chen Hao asked Yang Hui who was beside him. Yang Hui nodded his head. He said, this kind of blood parrot is different from those commonly seen in Hong Kong and China. This fish was sent over from Malaysia and it is extremely valuable. This can only be found in powerful and wealthy families. Su Nan overheard Chen Hao and Yang Hui discussing the blood parrot. He was the one that reserved this room. Thus, he smiled and said, oh, young Master Chen, you cannot recognize this high-class blood parrot. I thought you were so smart since you could identify bags from Hermes. Zhao Yifan frowned when she heard the name Hermes being brought up. This poor dude. Blondie who had been the henchman of Su Nan all this while laughed and sneered. Haha, there is no counterfeit equivalent of a blood parrot. If not, Chen Hao would definitely recognize it. He would even buy it. This type of fish is not only good for feng shui. In the southern region, it is also referred to as a prosperity fish. It is able to bring fortune to the family. Zhao Yifan said, oh, Yifan, it didn't seem like something you would know. You really are so well educated and knowledgeable. Su Nan heard what Zhao Yifan said and gave her a thumbs up, of course. Our goddess Yifan is unique unlike a certain poor dude that is just a country bumpkin. The dormitory mates next to Zhao Yifan ridiculed. This room is rather expensive, isn't it? Your friend is this capable. Zhao Yifan looked at Su Nan and by now she was already pleasantly surprised. She had an extremely good impression of Su Nan. If the ruffian aura from Su Nan could be removed and he was more mature, Zhao Yifan would consider him as a potential boyfriend. Not bad. This room costs around 4,000. Fortunately, I have connections. If not, you would not have the opportunity to be in line regardless of your wealth. Su Nan proudly smiled, then he suddenly thought of something that slipped his mind. He smacked his own head and said, oh yes, if you had not reminded me, I would have forgotten about this. I promised to inform my friend once I arrived. Su Nan made a phone call right after. Chen Hao sat by the side and only talked to Yang Hui and the rest of them. Other than that, he was practically silent. The original intention was to utilize this birthday celebration to build relationships between the different dormitories. However, it was obvious the relationships only involved Su Nan and his few dormitory mates. Putting Su Nan aside, the blondie had already mingled well together with the girls from Zhao Yifan's dormitory. At this moment, the door of the room opened. A guy dressed in a black suit and flashy leather shoes walked in. His skin was fair and he was tall. Overall, he looked very charismatic. "Ning Fan, you are here." Su Nan saw Ning Fan entering and immediately walked up to him. "Su Nan, how is it? Are you satisfied with this room?" "Of course, I am. Ning Fan is so powerful and capable, so why wouldn't I be?" Su Nan grinned. Blondie and the rest of his group also politely greeted Ning Fan. "Su Nan, let's take a break from our conversation. Why not introduce your friends to me?" Ning Fan glanced at the beautiful girls inside the room. He paid extra attention and stared at them for quite a while, especially Zhao Yifan, who had good looks and was very elegant. "Oh, I forgot to introduce him to everyone. This is Ning Fan, my childhood friend. He is a student of the university next to ours. His family is involved in the food and beverage industry. The Ming Huang restaurant in Jinling Commercial Street is owned by Ning Fan's family. The monthly income of the restaurant is around 10 million. Ning Fan just has to say the word and we can get this room right away." Su Nan proudly introduced his friend. Upon hearing that, Zhao Yifan and the rest of her friends all looked up. They stared at Ning Fan. Ming Huang restaurant. Damn, in order to be able to open a restaurant in Jinling Commercial Street, they had to be able to attain the standard of a 6-star restaurant. Their income was immense. Zhao Yifan also looked at Ning Fan and could not turn her eyes away. "Haha, don't listen to Su Nan's nonsense. It is just a small family business. As for this Imperial KTV, the manager knows my father. Thus, if anyone wants to come and hang out in the future, just let me know." Ning Fan bitterly smiled and shook his head. "Ning Fan, do you have a girlfriend?" A dorm mate of Zhao Yifan who was sitting next to her could not help but ask. Everyone burst into laughter. Ning Fan shook his head and smiled. He turned around and looked at Zhao Yifan. He said, "Hello beautiful girls, nice to meet you all." "Hello." Zhao Yifan restrained her smile. Su Nan then started introducing everyone to Ning Fan. Toward the end, Su Nan looked at Chen Hao, who was sitting in the corner, and who had been quiet the whole night. He pointed at Chen Hao. "Ning Fan, that guy is Chen Hao." Ning Fan was just about to shake hands with Chen Hao. Upon hearing that, his eyes twitched. "Oh. This is the guy that lost his girlfriend to Lu Chen. Not only that, he also helped to deliver condom to Lu Chen. This is the Chen Hao."